All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our WCW pay-per-view review series. This is going to be Wrestle War 1989. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get into it. Got a lot to cover on this one. Music City Showdown
hmm
in the Jim Herd era.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
NWA. This is actually NW. It's still
NWA, yeah.
NWA WCW.
Had a pretty, it was a good stacked card. You got the rivalry coming to a head between Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat
The
over
trilogy,
the
yeah.
NWA title.
Trilogy.
I'm going to get to that in a little bit because there's a few things that I didn't agree with when it came to that match. But let's go ahead and do it. May 7th, 1989 in Nashville. Jim Ross and Bob Caudle doing the commentary on this one. Before the night even kicked off, Jim Ross had announced that the hair versus hair stipulation in the U.S. tag title match, mainly with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Kevin Sullivan, will not happen during this
big
match.
No big loss.
Not really. And Kevin Sullivan's already looking like he's losing his hair anyway, so that was fine with me. So, opening match of the night was supposed to be Junkyard Dog versus the Great Muta. However,
I think the story. I don't know if you have the same story I do. That JY didn't want to lay down. He wanted to go over. I think, and so that's why I think he just walked out.
Yeah, he no-showed the event.
And
then they eventually fired him.
Right. Yeah.
But they didn't. He didn't understand that. Right? Unfortunately, and that was the whole idea was build Muta up to get to the Sting feud.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he didn't want to. But they brought him back less than a year later, so it wasn't too bad of a thing. So we get Doug Gilbert versus the Great Muta. It doesn't matter.
Pretty much.
The funny during the match, what's his name comes down to
his brother, right? This guy's brother goes down to the ring, I think.
Yeah, during the match, Eddie Gilbert came down to ringside on behalf of his brother. This was actually a short, short-lived match. I think it was supposed to be anyway on the card. Muta hits his moonsault on from the top rope and gets the pin on Gilbert and gets the victory. He still remains undefeated. Like I said, he's going to hit that rivalry with Sting coming up, which was really, really good in 1989. Following that, Lance Russell interviewed the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who is going to be
his last chance
title match.
This is his last chance.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, last chance against Steamboat, or whatever. Once they hit on that, we knew it was going to happen. Ric Flair is like, okay, you have my title, but you're not going to hold it for long. Okay. Next match on the card was Ranger Ross versus Butch Reed. Now, during the match, Teddy Long came down. Now, Teddy Long has since been fired as a referee, no longer technically employed by the NWA. So he's down there scouting because the next step for Teddy Long after this is going to be manager. So he's scouting as far as who he's going to go after. Wouldn't be the first time we saw, not the first time we see him. He'll be making multiple trips down to the ring over the course of the night. This match was a little stagnant to me. The fans really weren't invested in this match. Reed with a shoulder block from the top rope, and that's how we won the match over Ranger Ross. So, yeah, Butch Reed gets the victory. Following that, Lance Russell interviewed United States champion Lex Luger, who was going to be facing Michael P.S. Hayes in the U.S. title match, which was a really great match. I'll get to that later. Next match on the card, a bull rope match between Dick Murdoch and Cowboy Bob Orton. Every time we get a bull rope match, there's always a different stipulation in NWA/WCW. I mean, you think of a bull rope match, you think you got to hit the corners, or you just can't run away from your opponent. In this case, it was just, first one to get to the cowbell in the center. Oh, yeah, use it. Knock yourself out, whatever you want to do. During this match, Orton went to the top rope. Murdoch pulled him off with the bull rope, and Orton fell to the mat. Murdoch then hog-tied Orton and dropped 2 elbow drops on him, and that's how he got the pin on this one. It was a really quick match. However, it's what transpired afterwards that got everybody's attention. Gary Hart, after the match, attacked Murdoch, and then Orton, hit Murdoch with the cowbell, excuse me, that was on the rope. He wrapped the rope around Murdoch's neck and sent him over the top rope, kind of a little hanging going on here. So Jim Ross had said that he won the battle, but unfortunately on this night he lost the war. Okay, and of course, following that, Lance Russell interviewed the challenger for the U.S. title, Michael P.S. Hayes, who claimed, "I'm going at it alone." Sure, you are. Next match on the card. Now, of course, I've said this. I've documented this in the Clash of the Champions that we've done in 1989. 1989 was the year of the tag teams in NWA, at least in the beginning of the year, and then it dwindled down as we got towards the end of 1989. In this case, we've got the Samoan SWAT team versus the Dynamic Dudes. Now, on paper, this is a one-sided ass whooping. I mean, Shane Douglas and Johnny Ace against Samu and Fatu, with Paulie Dangerously at ringside. And you got legendary referee Tommy Young doing the referee.
Poor man's Rockers, the Dynamic Dudes.
I wouldn't even go there. I did like during the match that Dangerously grabs the microphone and berates the referee, saying, "You are as useless as a woman from Nashville, Tennessee." Gotta love Paulie, maybe. Always good stuff with him. Now, during the match, Fatu hits his splash from the top rope on Shane Douglas, but Johnny breaks up the pin. About the only way that was going to work. Now, with the referee distracted with Samu, Fatu had Shane up for a body slam. Johnny hit a missile drop kick where it took the momentum down, where Shane Douglas was on top of Fatu, and that's how they get the victory. So you could have bet the house or the farm on this one that said the Dynamic Dudes were losing this match, but no, they beat the Samoan SWAT team. But I mean, it wasn't a bad match. But when I look at Johnny Ace and go, "Yeah, I'm not interested." And of course, everybody knows that's the brother of Animal, and that's John Laurinaitis. People power.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, exactly. Following the match, Lance Russell interviews Lou Thez, Pat O'Connor, and Terry Funk, who are going to be the three judges during the world title match. This is in case of any type of double pin or whatever nonsense.
Yeah, because they're
going to go to a point system.
Because there was controversy in the last match.
Yeah, I don't agree with the whole point system, especially you look at who you got and you got Terry Funk. So something's going to be going on in that one. Our next match on the card was for the NWA United States title. It was Lex Luger defending the title against Michael P.S. Hayes.
Great match.
I love this match.
I like
awesome.
Michael Hayes' theatrics, his antics during the match.
Of course, early in the match, Hayes had botched a Russian leg sweep on Lex Luger. It's okay. Nobody was watching. And of course, during the match again, here comes Teddy Long coming down to ringside, scouting again. And of course, you have Nick Patrick doing the referee.
Oh,
in this one too,
he got taken out.
Yeah, I love how he oversold that.
He oversold it, yeah.
And of course, you have Matsuda at ringside as well, which in Hayes' corner, which he got involved during the match, attacking Lex Luger. Now, when they collided, when Luger sent Hayes into the ropes, he collided supposedly with the referee. But hey, Nick Patrick sold it. Good for him.
Big time.
Here comes Terry Bam Bam Gordy down to ringside, who just kind of pushes Hayes, onto Luger,
right,
and kicks Luger and throws Luger's foot off the rope twice.
Right. Patrick doesn't see anything.
All of a sudden, Nick Patrick doesn't see anything. He all of a sudden comes to life.
Right.
Counts to 3, and Michael P.S. Hayes is the new United States champion. Who said, "I will go at it alone"? No, you won't. You got your boys with you.
He's a heel, man. He's a heel.
And a great heel at that, man. I love the Freebirds.
One of the best.
Yeah. Following that, Lance Russell interviewed Sting because in the upcoming match, it's for the NWA television title, Sting defending it against the Iron Sheik. Why did they not have anybody else on the roster? I mean, by this point,
the thing with the Sheik was
is just
I think I read that they accidentally forgot about his contract and they let it renew. and they kind of like stuck with him. So they're like, well,
Might
we
as well
gotta
use them.
might as well use him. Yeah,
Oh boy. And of course, Rip Morgan is in, Sheik's corner for this one. This was a kind of a squash match in my opinion. It was like
pretty
a
much.
2 minute
Yeah.
match. You know, while the referee's distracted with Rip Morgan, Sheik is, hitting Sting with the flagpole before the bell even rang, trying to get the upper hand. That's not going to
Not
work
gonna work.
for him because, Sting with the Stinger Splash, Scorpion Deathlock,
That's it.
got the submission.
See ya.
Two guys from Venice Beach, California have now beaten the Iron Sheik. There we
Hmm.
go. There we go. So Sting successfully keeps the television title. Um, Now after that, Lance Russell interviewed Ricky the Dragon Steamboat because, and for whatever reason, I don't know why this wasn't the main event.
All right, I don't get it.
Whether it be even if the with the antics that they had after this match were to still go on for the main event, I don't understand for the life of me why
I don't.
this was not the main event.
I don't know.
Jim Herd era, ladies and gentlemen. Now for the NWA Championship, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And remember, Steamboat
Chi-town.
said, "Win, lose, draw."
Yeah.
The respect was there. The
Yeah,
handshake,
remember
everything was going to be there for these two guys.
remember Chi-town Rumble. Also on the
The
Clash.
the 1 hour match. Oh
Yeah.
my man, these
Mhm.
guys have gone to hell and back in
Yep.
1989,
Tremendous. Yeah.
and this is the end of the trilogy,
Mhm.
the feud between these two guys. Now, after the first 15 minutes, Jim Ross starts alluding to the judges that they had a Steamboat ahead on points. You guys are only there if there's a discrepancy or a double pin or a double knockdown or whatever. I don't understand why we're treating this like a boxing match right
I
now.
don't know. I don't know.
It took to me it took away from the
That's fine.
match because we're looking at points and they were like, oh well, Funk liked the quick
I
pin
think.
here
Yeah.
and come on.
I think they're just trying to like, uh, build some like dramatics like, oh, but if this goes to the cards, he's gonna lose, I don't know. It's whatever.
Something to that
Yeah.
effect. And of course, after the next round of point systems going in, because this was about a 31, 32 minute
Hmm.
match that they fought, and Funk had Ric Flair at that point. O'Connor had Ric Flair, and Luthez had Steamboat. So regardless of the outcome, if this ended in a time limit draw, Flair, you're telling me instead of this being a draw, Flair wins on points, so Flair's the world heavyweight
Yes.
champion. See, I I just don't agree with
There
that.
must be a winner.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Go to sudden death.
Yeah.
Now, Steamboat went for the chicken wing, which he originally won the title with, but Flair quickly got his foot on the rope. He knows that move now all
Mhm.
too well. Now, at one point, Steamboat went off the top rope. Flair hit the rope, and Steamboat fell to the outside. He was grasping his knee. This is going to open the door for the figure four leg lock, which in fact Flair applied and had on for an extensive amount of time. It really wore Steamboat down. Luckily, he was able to get to the rope, and the hold was to break. Now, the way this happened, I've seen this in too many matches, especially with Steamboat, where he went for the body slam, but Flair kind of held on and rolled Steamboat up and got the pin. I've seen that. Only I've seen Steamboat on the other end of that move,
Hmm.
not him getting it from an opponent. So Flair held on, rolls him up for the pin, gets the victory. He is now once again the NWA World Champion. They shook hands, the amount of respect. Now, what transpires afterwards? I think they should have. This should have been on an
Saved it.
episode of something. Yes, because now Jim Ross comes into the ring to interview Ric Flair, and out of nowhere, here comes Terry Funk. Terry Funk, interrupting the interview, challenging Ric Flair.
Hmm.
Ric Flair telling him, brother, you're not even in the top 10.
Yeah. It's true.
I've got to defend
You're
you
not even
against
my
me.
league. Yeah.
Pretty much, yes.
That was a
And that
mistake though.
just, oh, you don't tell Funk that. And, Funk was saying that he was kidding. I didn't really want to challenge you. And then he attacks Ric Flair.
From a beating.
Pile drives him on the table. which we later on, on one of the clashes or whatever, is Ric Flair's career over? The
Right,
whole
here's a
neck
neck
brace
brace.
thing,
Yeah.
wearing the LA Lakers,
Yeah.
thing at his
It's good stuff. It was
house.
dramatic.
It
It's
was, yeah, really dramatic.
it's just Flair as a baby face. I didn't really like. I didn't like him as a baby face. You know,
No, he was better
he's
as a
better as a
heel.
heel. Yeah.
And of course, we get true Terry Funk here as a heel.
Right.
I just don't think he just won the match of his life here, at least at the time, because he said that he was the best world champion he's ever faced, and that's going over Dusty Rhodes
Right.
and that's going over Harley Race. And to do all that just to get an ass whooping from Terry Funk,
But they're setting
one of
up the
the
next feud.
judges who, mind you, had you winning
Yeah.
this match.
That's all right. I don't think it's that bad. So,
But in any event, we know this is going to set up. But Steamboat gets a piece of Terry Funk in Flair's place, and then Flair eventually is going to put the title on the line against Terry Funk. Following that, Joe Pedicino interviewed Nikita Koloff, who is going to be the special
right.
guest referee in the next match. These next two matches, this was your kind of double main event, and I don't understand why. Again, Flair and Steamboat should have ended the night, but hey, I wasn't the booker back then. I was only 11 years old. So our next match on the card is for the NWA Tag Team titles with the Nikita Koloff as a special guest referee. The Varsity Club of Mike Rotunda and Dr. Death Steve Williams defending the titles against the Road Warriors. Man, you talk about the Road Warriors really having a hell of a time trying to get tag titles off of Mike Rotunda, aka IRS. I mean, damn, just the track
Death,
record going
Dr.
in.
Death, though, man.
Oh boy, yeah, Dr. Death. Now, this match, it felt rushed, and both of these next two matches were 6 minutes or a little over 6 minutes, so that I think there was a time problem. Again, you had a 32-minute world title match. The Road Warriors hit the Doomsday Device on Dr. Death Steve Williams, which was pretty impressive. However, now, during the match, Kevin Sullivan decided to get involved. Nikita Koloff sent him packing. Get your ass out of here. Sullivan and Dan Spivey come back. And the Varsity Club was disqualified, and the Road Warriors win the match, but not the tag team titles.
But then later on, we'll get into that later on, what happens with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they made the announcement at the end of the night. Now, our next match, don't go anywhere, Varsity Club, because you're doing double duty. For the NWA United States Tag Team titles, they really love their tag titles down there. It was the Varsity Club challenging, now it was Dan Spivey and Kevin Sullivan, challenging Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner. And again,
Rick Steiner was injured. I think he had something was wrong with his arm, I think.
Yeah, which is pretty much why they did what they did with him. But they wanted to emphasize that there was no hair versus hair stipulation in this match between Sullivan and Gilbert.
If anybody cared, but
I know nobody did. Now, as the match started, Spivey ran Rick Steiner's shoulder into the post, which kept him out, which pretty much made this a handicap match for Gilbert for the most part. Now, Rick eventually made it on the apron, Missy Hyatt, trying to get him going there and whatever. Sullivan went for a pile driver on Gilbert, and this is where the ref was dealing with Dangerous Dan Spivey. Rick Steiner was able to kind of get into the match where he clotheslined Sullivan, and Gilbert was able to roll him up, and they successfully defended the tag team titles against Sullivan and Spivey. However, afterwards, Spivey hit Steiner with a chair.
Damn it.
Sullivan was going after Missy Hyatt, but Eddie Gilbert ran him off. Now, as the night closed, Jim Ross had announced that due to Sullivan's actions in the first tag title match, after being ejected, that Rotunda and Williams were stripped of the World Tag Team titles. It's just so easy to do it down there for
But how is that fair to the Road Warriors?
It's not.
Just have them have an automatic rematch, because this goes into a tournament. It ends up being they get stripped and it goes into a tournament.
I mean, you could even if you reverse the decision. They always say the referee's decision is final, and it goes down as a DQ. You can't reverse the decision and give them the tag title. So that's the only way you can do it. It's not fair to the Road Warriors. No. It really isn't.
So
But there should have been a stipulation where Sullivan and Spivey were barred from ringside anyway.
right. Yeah.
But and then of course they still had no word on the status of Ric Flair after the pile driver on the table as they showed it in slow mo how Flair's head and neck were
Hmm.
turned. So we'll find out later on how Ric Flair is doing there. Again, old neck brace
Right.
thing. I love it. But I mean, overall, Wrestle War '89 was pretty good.
It was
Uh,
fun.
5 title matches, all pretty
Hmm.
interesting. Um, I liked it. I thought
It
it
was
was
good.
entertaining, and the world title match. I mean, even though Ricky Steamboat lost to Flair, hey, Ricky Steamboat beat Ric Flair for the world
Right.
title. That's something
Hmm.
a lot of guys cannot say in their career. So, and I still to this day will never understand why Vince McMahon never pushed him to the next level when he had him.
Hulk Hogan. But anyway,
Of course,
all
why
right.
not?
Anyway,
That doesn't
that's
work for
all
me,
right, all
brother.
right, yeah. Anyway, that's our review. Please like, comment, subscribe. See you guys soon.
Take care.